Hello, this is Brian. Today is a nice temperate October 17th, 2019. It's a Thursday afternoon, and I am in Powder Canyon, part of the Puente Hills Habitat Authority, in between Rowland Heights and La Habra Heights in southern LA County, just north of the Orange County border. I'm here finishing up a very leisurely day of hiking here, and today I want to spotlight on an interesting issue that I think is worthy of mentioning, and it's about our walnut trees that grow here. We live in probably one of the best populations, or this area is probably lies one of the best populations of Southern California walnut, Juglans californica, which is this stand of small shrubby thickets right here. They can become a small tree, occasionally up to 20, 30, maybe on rare occasions 40 feet tall. Very common here in Powder Canyon. But main focus on this video is to differentiate between two species of walnuts that grow here. There are two species, actually, and they are both closely related, and one's native, Juglans californica, the smaller California walnut, and one species is not native. So this is Juglans californica, California walnut. They're just starting to shed their leaves because they're winter deciduous shrubs and trees. Shed their leaves in the fall, leaf out in the spring. And the other one is called the English or Persian walnut, and that's Juglans regia, not native. This is Juglans regia. Look at how much larger the leaves are. It's a pinnately compound leaf divided up into roughly odd amounts of leaflets, sometimes up to 2 feet long. Very vigorous, much larger tree than the smaller native California walnut. Much larger trunks, lighter gray bark, much less furrowing, whereas the native Southern California walnut also has some grayish bark, but tends to have more furrowing. As of here, this is a Southern California walnut, a decent sized specimen here in Powder Canyon. So the reason why I'm bringing up this topic is because we do live in an area where there are a lot of residential areas on the tops of the hills surrounding here. So people are naturally, people are going to naturally have orchards of fruit trees. English walnut is one of them, Juglans regia. So what happens is these trees often establish themselves from seeds that drop, roll down the mountain, or sometimes animals bring them here. And then we get these non-native trees that flourish in here sometimes. In fact, here's another example of a non-native. Right down here is a fig, Ficus carica. So, the reason why I wanted to bring up about the walnuts is I wanted to differentiate between the two. So if you're hiking through here and you're interested in seeing our native walnut trees, you'll know what the native ones look like and how to differentiate them from the non-native ones. Okay, Juglans californica, much smaller, shrubbier, sometimes small tree size, sometimes large shrub size. Much smaller leaves, much smaller walnuts, much smaller seeds. And just like Juglans regia, they both shed their leaves in the fall and leaf out in the spring. They're winter deciduous, and they both get a yellowish fall color. In fact, this Juglans californica right here is starting to show signs of fall coloration. Since we're in a lower, warmer climate, lower elevation, warmer climate, trees here change later. So more towards November is when I'll expect to see more yellowing on this one, but it's starting to show up little bits here and there, and it's starting to produce a nice little contrast with the evergreen oaks, the coast live oaks, Quercus agrifolia, variety agrifolia, which is a common companion of our walnuts here in these canyon woodlands. So the reason why I'm bringing Juglans regia into the mix, the non-native English walnut, is that the occurrence of this tree does put the genetic purity of our native species at risk, because walnuts hybridize. They do very much hybridize, and Juglans regia and Juglans californica can very well be compatible to hybridize. So just a little bit of a note: you might find some walnuts here that have intermediate characteristics, and I believe I've seen several of them that the leaflets are shaped and are size in between both species. This one could potentially have hybrid stock. This one could potentially be a hybrid. I don't know for sure. Gotta watch out for poison oak. But it is possible. These are the smaller ones right here. These ones are likely plain Juglans californica. But so we do have to be careful that our ornamental and fruit trees don't contaminate the gene pool. I don't mean contaminate like make people sick, but contaminate like they add their genes into where our native plants are. So now we have hybrids between native and non-native plants. I've also seen hybrids between California sycamore, Platanus racemosa, and London plane tree, Platanus hispanica, or some people still call it Platanus acerifolia. I've seen that in San Clemente Canyon in San Diego, just south of the 52, in the neighborhood of Claremont. I've seen a hybrid between California sycamore, which is native, and London plane tree, which is a horticultural variety of plane tree hybridized between American sycamore, Platanus occidentalis, and Platanus orientalis, the European sycamore. That's what London plane tree is. And I've seen hybrids once or twice in that canyon. So we got to be very careful. Juglans californica has a very, very, very small distribution, and habitat degradation is definitely compromising the species. So we got to be careful that we don't further complicate the problem by adding more problems like non-native plants. So we do have to be careful. It's almost inevitable, since we do live in suburbia. Suburbia surrounds these canyons, and people have orchard trees in their yard. But we just got to be careful in making sure our stuff, our plants don't go out of bounds. It's not always possible, but it is something that does happen. This is the parking area near the edge of by Fullerton Road here in Powder Canyon. This is the southern parking area. But I just wanted to make a note in case you were wondering why some of the walnut trees are so large and their bark is different, their leaves are much larger. It's not because of morphological differences within Juglans californica. It's because there's another species growing here. So just be aware. As humans, we like to add our touch to everything. And sometimes we inadvertently add non-native species of plants to the wildlands. And what happens is some species of non-native plants are closely related to species of native plants. They can hybridize, and the gene pool could be corrupted. So here's a Juglans californica, much smaller stature. This is a younger specimen here, but you can tell the leaflets are a lot smaller. So be aware, if you come here, you might find hybrids between both. I mean, don't get it twisted. I think those Persian walnut trees are gorgeous, beautiful, large, and they're just so large and beautiful, but we just got to be careful that we don't contaminate our native species. The same thing with London plane tree pollen landing on California sycamore stigmata. They can form hybrid seeds. So just keep that in mind. It does happen in Powder Canyon, being so close to orchards and people's houses. It does happen here. And I appreciate you watching my video. I hope you found it informative, and I will see you on my next video, hopefully soon.